Hello, my name is Heather. I'm so excited to be here. I'm just so thrilled to be invited to talk about motherhood and about labels that we give ourselves and about making time for ourselves. So, I am a co-pioneer of Confidence Through Cabaret. And in our community, on all of our socials, we talk about personal life, work life, and stage life, whatever your stage is. And we like to talk about, you know, confidence, obviously, because it's confidence through cabaret. But we also like to talk about, really finding what it is that you desire. And when we started Confidence Through Cabaret, we we talked about what informs confidence. And what I realized is that I'm more confident now than I ever have been in myself. So I've always felt like I was a confident person. I've always felt like I was following my instincts or my energies, um, but I wasn't always myself. And what I mean by that, I am a mother of four children. I They are grown up now. I was a wife. I'm now a widow. I was a training consultant and business coach in a very large business that I grew over 25 years. And I had all of these compartments and all of these labels. And most of the time, I was operating within those and not from a place of honoring myself or making time for myself. I felt like I didn't want to make time for myself. I felt like making time for myself was spending time with my children or being in my workplace or doing all of the different community events and clubs that I enjoyed doing and being with the friends that I made there. Um, but what happened for me around 2 years ago now is that all of those labels kind of disappeared. And therefore, all of the roles that I played changed drastically. So, my late husband had Alzheimer's in his late 40s, so very early on, and it progressed very quickly. And at the time when he passed away 2 years ago, my youngest was off to university, and the final big empty nest was happening. So I was no longer a wife. I was no longer a mother with dependent children. And because my husband had been ill for so long and then passed away, I needed to take time away from my business. And so I had to downscale that as well. And so I was no longer focusing on fully on my career either. And I found that when the labels disappeared, I did not know me. So, what I mean by that was as basic a thing as not knowing what I like to eat. I was always, for decades, I was preparing meals that suited everybody's taste, that fit within the time schedules to get everybody off to where they needed to be, including myself. And when I had to prepare meals for myself, just me, I wasn't sure about my preferences. And I can still remember it. I had a little meltdown in a grocery store. I'm from Canada, but I live in the UK, so I'm very far away from my own family as well. Yeah, other than the family that I grew, I'm very far away from my family that I was born into, and I really had to listen to my own voice. And I can remember thinking, do I like this or do I just have this because it works? I had to think about what kind of hobbies do I like. So I had managed a rugby team for at that point about over 10 years. I do love rugby, but do I still want to be doing this? Or is this something that I just do because I've always done it and that's where my life evolved into, and that's where my friendships were made. So I spent some time. I'm now, bear in mind, I run very large conferences all over the world. So I've traveled all over the world for about 3 decades. I I'm used to being with in a room full of people I've never met, in a very large space, and I'm used to being needing to be able to connect with them on a large scale. So I'm pretty good at in my work life taking up space and projecting my voice. But what I found out is that I'm not good at that, or I wasn't in my own life. And so I would show up and I would be the persona that was expected, that fit in with the other parents if it was about my children, that fit in with the club members if it was about my rugby or my other clubs. I fit in with what people expected me to be like. So I found it really difficult to think, well, who am I without all of those considerations or expectations? And I realized that I had somehow lost myself, or who I am, beyond being a mother, because that was the most important thing for me. That's all I wanted to do, was be with my children. And every minute I could, I was there, and I was the one who was at every, club, concert, game or match, you name it, I was there. Verse speaking, anything they were doing, I wanted to be there. um, and I really found that was wonderful and rewarding, and I have no regrets of that, except one. Because not only did I have to get to know myself, but I have now raised children who don't follow self-care too, because I never modeled that. I never showed them, like, you can tell your children, take time for yourself, spend time doing what you enjoy. Don't listen to all your friends. Do what follow your own path. But unless you're doing that, unless you're modeling the way, they're not going to get that message as a true deep way of their own self-care. So so we talk a lot about that in our family now, and that's a hard thing because as adults they now have to learn self-care as well, and to really kind of be able to listen to themselves, and not be, you as a mother, you would say, don't follow your peers, follow your own path, follow, and if that's with your peers, great, but you don't always have to do what everybody else does. And my mother, my grandmother, my great grand, they all used to say, if so and so jumps off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? And of course the answer was supposed to be, well, no. So then they would say, well, then why would you need to do what they do? And yet and yet I'm saying to my children these things, and I'm not following what's true for me, because I didn't know, I lost track. So we talk a lot. I mean, my North American background, we talk not so much in the UK, but we talk about it, a lot in North American culture, about having date night with your partner. So, and that's really important, because when your children grow up, I've got a lot of friends now with empty nests saying, um, I I don't my spouse and I, my partner and I, we don't really have that much in common. Or maybe we do, but we don't we don't know. We haven't taken that time. So of course we would recognize, yes, date night is important to maintaining a relationship with our partner, or who, significant people in our life. But what do you want? What's really important for you? Do you have self dates? Do you look after yourself and what you want? Or do you do what's convenient and fits in, and sneak a little bit of time and a few indulgences here and there for yourself? The reality for me hit very hard and very suddenly. I know that I have an extreme case, but I should have and didn't see it coming. I knew when my husband became ill, I knew that there was only one way that this was going to go. His dementia was not going to be curable or get better. I knew that my children were growing up and they were not going to get younger again and more dependent on me, hopefully. And so I should have seen that pathway in front of me. Um, Before my late husband was ill, I should have seen that we weren't taking time to stay with each other, or to get to know each other and to enjoy time together and have shared memories for just him and I, which I of course can't do now. And so, when all of those labels, when all of those roles, they always will disappear, and especially as a mother, your children are hopefully going to grow up and be independent. Then what? What do you want? What do you do to look after yourself, to know yourself, to follow your own needs? And what example do you want to set for your children? How do you want them to be when they're adults in their relationships? Of course, you would want them to be happy. You would want them to know themselves and know what makes them happy and know what they enjoy and have their own voice and space to make the choices that are great for them. So when all of this disappeared, I had to get to know myself again. When my late husband first became ill, I started taking cabaret lessons. And I said to you that in conferences, in my work life, I was great. I could take up space. I could project my voice. I could talk to people I didn't know, hundreds of people at a time, no problem. I traveled all over, no problem, different cultures, different language barriers, you name it. I was comfortable in that because I had a work persona. Uh, but I didn't like to take up space in my personal life. I didn't know how to. I wished that people could see me. I wished that people like do you know what I mean? Not just see me because I'm very loud in a room. So of course people saw me, but I mean really see me. But I couldn't articulate what that meant because I because I couldn't see me. And I felt deeply aggrieved that I never really felt seen beyond what people expected from me. And so when I got to know me, which in my case was through cabaret, when I got to feel what my space was and to feel comfortable in it and to feel good, just being able to be in my space, that's what made the difference for me. So for me, there were three foundations for cabaret. There was the ability to take up space and own it. There was the ability to express my voice, either using movement through my body, which I didn't feel comfortable with, or even actually verbally being able to express me. And then there was the narrative and the story or the message that I had to share. And I still remember going to I went to a taster session. So it was just a very short little free sample class. And we had to do body tracing, and we had to put our arm out and we had to stroke our arm with our other hand. And I wanted to cry. I actually felt quite ill about it. I didn't feel like this was comfortable. And I was only doing this is my hand and my arm, and I'm only doing this. I'm not doing a show. I'm not flourishing. I'm just doing this and this. And it didn't feel okay because I wasn't okay with me because I'd lost track of what that was. And so I went to my first class because I realized that this was something that terrified me, and for no reason. So I don't like things that are scary when they shouldn't be, or there's no rational reason behind it. So I went to a class. I did the first class. I was even more emotional and struggled even more. And then I went back for my second class, and I must have really shown how uncomfortable I was or how close to tears I was. I mean, I was a grown woman at this point, right? Most of the people in the class were probably young enough to be my children. And I admired their confidence and their ability to take up space. And it wasn't about ability to dance, and it wasn't about, their knowledge of cabaret. It was just that ability to be in the space and own it and feel confident. So when I went back for my second class, people said, I can't believe you came back. Like you were so uncomfortable last week. We never thought we'd see you again. I committed to 4 lessons, uh, because then I knew that would mean I would go, because I didn't have a lot of money for classes, so I certainly didn't have money to waste it. And I went to all 4, and in fact, I went to 4 years and 2 months now. I've been taking classes, I've been performing, I've been owning a stage. And the same thing happened to me in 2020 when I had to go online, with my business, and when we started Confidence Through Cabaret, which came out in 2020 as well. So here I was, after 25 years of having my own 2 businesses, I was now starting an online business. I knew nothing about online. I didn't even know what my Facebook homepage was. So I know. And I didn't get why I needed that. And then I had to do my first Facebook Lives, and I was doing Zoom calls, and I was doing, and I was thinking, I have to be, everything has to be right. And I have to, but actually, what I found out is if you show up for yourself, if you show up in the ways that matter to you, then it will become comfortable. It will become easy. And maybe you don't want to dance. And maybe you don't want to start an online business, or maybe you do, but follow what it is that you want. And if you are, whether you're employed full time, or whether you're a full time, stay at home parent, or whether you have a business running, or all 3 of those, you still need to take time to get still and say, what is it that I want? What do I deeply desire? What choices am I making that support me knowing me? Take yourself on a date. Um, you know that you don't have to go anywhere. We've been in lockdown in the UK for almost exactly a year. So we can't go anywhere other than we could go for a walk. That's pretty much our choices. A walk or a grocery store. That's all we have. So be creative with it. I just recorded for Confidence Through Cabaret. We have a website. I just recorded a dance class, which was just about walking around a chair and walking to music and moving and walking in different ways and different tempos, and how we just feel into movement. And I used a chair because I like to have a prop, because it gives me something to focus on. So I'm not thinking about, oh, how am I moving? How does this look? Because actually, it doesn't matter. Nobody's watching. Um, Except in my case, I had a video camera on, but but because I was recording a class, but I enjoy connecting and I enjoy feeling good in my own body. And I certainly move for myself, as well as, in my business. Obviously I run classes, but I just enjoy that movement. And if you can do that for yourself, if you can find a way, maybe it's in cooking, maybe it's in reading a book, maybe it's in learning something, maybe it's in some form of art or something creative, maybe it's just sitting down with all your old makeup that's in a bag somewhere and just playing with it and just seeing how that feels. But you play, and then you start to get to know yourself, and you start to think, oh, I don't like that. Oh, but I do like that. I'd like to learn more about that. And it's really important that you do it. And it's important that you can do things, yes, you could do some of those things with your family, but it's important that you're able to do them for you, with you, and be connected to you, just as you would do things with your children and be connected to them. So I would love to hear your comments. I would love to get to know you. You're more than welcome on our Facebook community on Confidence Through Cabaret. You're more than welcome. We have a YouTube channel, blog, vlog, everywhere on confidencethroughcabaret.com. All of our content is there. But even in this group, like put your comments, put your questions, put your thoughts, put your reactions and responses. If you didn't like something I said, I would love to know that too. What's your experience? Is it different? And I think that's the whole point of community, is that we're able to share and we're able to grow together. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments in advance. I wish that I could be with you live, and maybe at some point we'll be able to. But I wish you all the very best because you deserve it. Thank you. Bye.